Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Stevie Nicol. What a show we have for you. Later on in the programme, we show you how PSG started the defence of their French title in some style, with both Neymar and Messi getting in on the score sheet. Plus, Borussia Dortmund start their campaign with a win, but we kick things off in the Premier League. We'll start with the early match. Fulham taking on Liverpool. Great game this at Craven Cottage. It finished 2-2. Fulham would open the scoring. Liverpool then getting the equaliser. It looked like you would expected then Liverpool to kick on. They didn't, as Van Dijk gave away a penalty. Mitrovic converting the spot kick. Salah would get the equaliser late on, but Liverpool looked really out of sorts. This is what Jurgen Klopp had to say about the result.
How frustrating is that today on the opening day, as you said as well, after such a good performance last week?
What do you want to know on the scale? From 1 to 10 or?
Yeah.
12.
12.
Very. The results are very important to us, obviously, and I would love to get 3 points, but I would have loved much more to play really good, to be honest, and we didn't do that, and that's why I'm now in the mood I'm in, and it's my responsibility to find out why we played last Saturday a really good game, surprisingly good game for the moment we are in the preseason, and seven days later it looked like completely upside down. That doesn't make sense. The performance was a defeat. The result is not a defeat, but the performance was a defeat. So, and that's why we have to figure out what happened. And it can happen. And again, we win today and don't learn anything from the game, much worse than get a point and learn the right things. I'm fine with that. So that's what we are working on now. That's we are not. That's not us today. It was not us today.
12 out of 10 frustration levels. That's very frustrating. To welcome in Frank Leboeuf and Steve McManaman to the show. Macca, you were at the game. What was wrong with Liverpool today?
Well, I think if the managers doesn't know, Dan, it's hard for us to say. They were slow, weren't they? They were lethargic. Fulham started the game really, really well with a good tempo. You expect that. First game of the season, 12:30 game. But Liverpool just didn't match them early on, certainly in the first half. Didn't match them for intensity. Wanted to play pretty passes and were not clinical enough in controlling the ball and moving the ball forward. So a very frustrating day all around for Liverpool. But Fulham deserved it, didn't they? Deserved to go in at half-time. They worked really hard and they capitalised on errors that Liverpool committed today. But, you know, all in all, it wasn't a great start to the season for Liverpool.
How bad were they, Stevie?
It's probably as bad a football as they've played. Regardless of results, you know, they've played way better and lost games. This was, I mean, I only remember, I think the first goal that Núñez scored, that was the only bit of play leading up to that goal, which of course was fortunate, that Liverpool had in the whole game. I don't remember having 3, 4 and 5 passes. Everything, they were losing the ball, they were giving the ball away when they had it, and it took them what, half an hour to actually get some sort of foothold in the game. So there's nothing to talk about. The only things we can talk about are the bad things.
Right.
And probably what summed today up was the fact that arguably the best centre-back in world football played like a schoolboy today. The penalty he gave away, you would see 12-year-olds doing it.
This was Van Dijk on Mitrovic, of course, for the second goal.
Yeah, Virgil van Dijk. He's got Mitrovic, who's collecting the ball maybe 35, 40 yards from goal. And instead of going and closing it, because Mitrovic is never running past him, he backs off into his own box. Then gets himself squared up, and then dangles the leg. I mean, you talk about schoolboy from the best defender in the world, no question. And it just shows you that everybody does make mistakes.
Yes.
But when your main man's doing that, then that tells you what kind of day you're having.
Frank, do you agree from one centre-back to another?
Yes, well, he has to take a very fast decision, and he opened the right door, I would say, putting Mitrovic on his left foot, but he was on his heels in a way that couldn't react, you know, and go forward. And yeah, he should have at some time stop dropping and take a decision, knowing that AlexanderArnolds is coming to help him out. So yes, well, I found him. And since last season, the Van Dijk that I know and we all knew before his injury is not there yet back, and I find him sometimes sloppy. Sure that he can get it, that's the first time that somebody took him on. But I think he was kind of sloppy in that matter today. And that was, disappointing. I agree with Stevie.
It was all a bit sloppy, Mako. It's kind of a good way to describe it. Especially off the back of what we saw last weekend, obviously in the Community Shield, Jurgen Klopp referring to that. Did that give them kind of a false sense of security going into this tie?
Well, it shouldn't do, Dan, to be very honest. It's the first game of the season. It's against a team that's just come off from the Championship. Liverpool were big favourites today to get off to a good start. So to beat Manchester City, who were dominant last year in the Premier League, the way they did it last week, in the style that they did it, they were quick, they were sharp, they were aggressive. It was none of that today. I don't know whether they took Fulham for granted, because when you looked at the Fulham team sheet, they didn't have a lot of names there that jumped out at you and you thought, wow, these are going to scare Liverpool, these are going to cause problems today. So I don't know whether it was a little bit of arrogance that came into the game. I honestly don't. But to have played like they did last week against City, and then 7 days later, yes, they played Strasbourg the day after and didn't have a great result, and they changed the team around and had a few injuries. But today, the starting 11 was more than strong enough. If they were on their day, if they could play like they normally do, and where they say normally do, we've seen these type of performances, as in good performances. They haven't been beaten in 2022. So this was a big result for Fulham today, and Liverpool just didn't get going at all, and that's the disappointing part, because they need to find something quick. Because firstly, they're running out of bodies. They've got a friendly match tomorrow against Aston Villa, behind closed doors. The under-21s are playing Manchester City tomorrow, so I don't know where they're going to get the players to play all these games.
It's crazy, Stevie. Let's take it through. Should we take us through the first goal, the Mitrovic opener? Is there anything, for example, could Alexander-Arnold have done anything against him there?
Well, I think, when you have a player like Mitrovic, when the ball stood up at the far post.
OK, well, this is a foul here on Henderson, yeah?
Oh, no question.
But they didn't bring it back, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question it's a foul. Referee doesn't give it, but then you still have to defend. I guess we always talk about, you stop it at source. So Robertson really has to try and stop the cross. After that, Mitrovic is going to be favourite with Alexander-Arnold or most fullbacks in the Premier League. Here you see the foul on Henderson, it wasn't given. But you're not expecting Alexander-Arnold to just go and win that ball.
Right.
But what you're expecting is for him to put a strong challenge on that will make it difficult for Mitrovic to do what he wants to do. What he did was, he was weak and scared. He looked scared. He was not aggressive in the slightest. And so there was always going to be one winner, and the ball was always going to be in the back of the net.
Is that harsh, Mako?
No, I think when you look at it, I think you expect him to do more. He's a world-class centre. He's a world-class right back now. So everybody has focused on his defending and him going forward. But he needs to do something to stop Mitrovic just getting virtually a free header, didn't he? Whether he stands still, whether he grabs him, whether he just tries to disrupt him anyway. But in theory, he didn't do anything. Mitrovic just come climbing over the top of him, of course, as you expect him to do, and wins the header and powers it in very easily. So as a right back, you always feel that they should be able to do more, and they should be more aggressive and make it more difficult for them to get a header in. So I think that's fair. Mitrovic is a big lad, as we all see, and you expect him to try and win those balls, but you also want more, when you see it, and certainly when you see it in replay and you slow it down, you always feel as if you could do more as a defender.
Frank?
Well, I think we have to make a statement. Alexander-Arnold is absolutely fantastic when he has the ball, and he's really poor when he has to defend. That's what it is, and it's no offense to say that. It's just an evidence for me, or it's just clear for me. And we have so many evidence that he doesn't do well when he has to defend. In that matter, it was very easy. He just had to stop a little bit to break, and to make Mitrovic to break a little bit and to delay his run, and he would have never gotten the ball. But it's like he knows that Mitrovic is behind him, and put his body down, to allow Mitrovic to put his header. That's crazy. Makes no sense for me. I don't understand. Maybe he's the only one who can explain what he wanted to do in that matter.
Positives for Liverpool? Nunez getting his first goal, obviously, domestically, and an assist as well to boot, Stevie.
Well, I'm sure Nunez got Liverpool's man of the match, but quite frankly, He got a goal and an assist,
Yeah.
and he knows absolutely nothing about both of them. Because the first one, he completely misses the ball. It comes back off Tosin, hits him on the heel and goes in. And then the goal he sets up in inverted commas. There you go, look at that. And the one he sets up is a miscontrol, but it's still an assist. So he's got a goal and an assist and has no idea how it happened. Look at this. Oops a daisy. And then Salah puts it in. You've got to think, though, that there's no way Liverpool could play this badly again this season.
Right.
And if you're going to do it with 37 games to go.
Right.
Because if you analyse the whole team, the front three were rotten. They might have scored 2 goals,
Yeah.
but both of them were lucky. And they were playing against Tosin and Ream. Tosin and Ream are not going to have an easier day for the rest of the Premier League season. Liverpool got completely outdone in the middle of the park for 30 minutes. I mean, completely outdone.
Right.
And then defensively, as we've been sort of concentrating on, they can't play defensively as bad again against anybody.
I suppose those could be saying, Maka, calm down, it's the opening game of the season, you know, they're going to find their rhythm soon, we know what they've done in the past, but the problem is in the past as well, Maka, they've lost a league by 1 point. This is why this could prove to be quite a big deal, because we know what Manchester City bring to the table.
Yeah, of course, but I don't think we should go overboard. Yes, I think if you're a Liverpool fan and what you've seen last year and what you've seen of where Fulham have just come from the Championship, you'd say it was 2 points dropped. That's all it is. I think you can't make any big claims about the Premier League. Of course, West Ham are playing Manchester City tomorrow. That's a difficult game, but I understand that there'd be a lot of frustration in the Liverpool camp, and I understand that there'd be a lot of frustration by the Liverpool fans. But you know, some of the grand gestures and the grand statements of it's panic stations because they've dropped 2 points already, I think is slightly ridiculous, to be very honest.
Given what happened at Wembley, Stevie, should he have started Nunez?
I don't think so. I think in all honesty, Klopp probably thought that he would take care of Fulham with the side he put out,
right,
and with Firmino, and he probably doesn't think Nunez is ready yet anyway. And the fact that Nunez came on and made such a difference, he probably thought it'd be a nice little thing for him to do the same again. You know, try and break Fulham basically, and then put him on, and then just keep him surging forward. Now, as it turns out, he has surged forward, albeit I'm taking the mickey that he knew nothing about it, but the fact is he's got a goal and assist. So that kind of worked out.
If you're a Fulham defender, though, and you look at the team sheet, you're happier that Nunez isn't starting, aren't you, Frank?
Yes, if you consider that Firmino is not a good player, but Firmino is a very good player, and he showed it. He's not been effective as Salah and Mane last season, but I think he's a very talented player, and you have to respect that. Wherever it could be, I think I'd rather play Nunez because he's not ready for the Premier League yet. It's what we thought before the game, instead of Firmino, who knows by experience what he has to expect. So it doesn't make any difference for any defender, especially the Fulham defender. You have to know that you have to threat them because they're not warriors in a way. They will try to avoid contacts. The players like that is how they're good at. But if you mean in a very good way football, if I may say, you could have a good game.
What do you think, Maka?
Well, I agree with Stevie, to be honest. I fully expected Jurgen Klopp to, with that front three that he had, he would have thought that it was far strong enough to do the job against Fulham today. I don't think Darwin Nunez is this finished article yet. Yes, Liverpool have spent a lot of money on him, but he's very much a work in progress. I think anybody who followed his career last year and the year before at Benfica and before that know that he made giant strides last year, particularly in the Champions League. But you also know that he's very raw, he's not the finished article, and he will improve at Liverpool. He's probably not the player Sadio Mane was at Liverpool, but they're hoping that he will get there and get there very, very soon with the promise that he showed and the improvement levels that he showed last year. But we also know that it's going to be taking him time to get involved in the Premier League, to take time to acclimatise, to take time to learn the language that his fellow his fellow football players can understand and converse with him. And then hopefully scoring the goals that Liverpool do. But, what he did do when he came on, he looked a threat. Yes, the ball was bouncing off him at times, and some of his passing, at times when he first entered the field, he looked slightly lethargic, as if he was getting up to pace with the game. But I think for the last 20 minutes, he certainly looked dangerous, and he gave Liverpool something that they haven't had before, certainly with Firmino on the pitch, because he wanted to drop off too much. And today's game, I think, needed something over the top, and Darwin Núñez will give you that.
We saw, didn't we, Thiago come off injured. Jurgen Klopp said after the game that it doesn't look good. You mentioned it, Mac, before. They're kind of running out of bodies in the middle of the park.
Yes, they have, because they'll get Naby Keita back very soon, because he was only ill, I think, and he's fine. He'll be fine in the next couple of days. But people like Curtis Jones, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Thiago, they're going to be out for a while, aren't they? I think we knew that. Some of them have got serious hamstring injuries. Thiago's didn't look good. He knew straight away. And that generally feels as if it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks. And it is becoming a bit of a worry. They're starting to lose players, and they're starting to lose players in that central midfield position. And that's never good for a manager. Yes, he said in his after the game press conference that he's not going to panic and he's not going to start looking for midfield players. But there's still a few weeks of the transfer window open and to go. And if he has another injury, or he's going to rely on only 3 players, he may have a problem.
Concern?
Yeah, I think so. On paper, having basically 7 midfielders before the kick-off, you looked all right. I would certainly question that they needed to sign a better option than what they have. Milner and the Ox, and Curtis Jones, and Keita as well, all do a job. But if you want to win the Premier League and the Champions League, you have to have players that are more than capable of doing a job. So I would have thought they would have signed a player anyway, but it's just a little unfortunate that when you start with 7 and already after 1 game you're down to 4. You can't. You just don't know that's coming.
Well, we were surprised that we had 3 bodies, really, Macca, considering it was Saturday night. I was waiting for a technical problem in your household that would see it go away, mate. Well, thank you very much for being on. How many of those books do you reckon he's read?
None.
Definitely none.
Nice to see you, boy.
See you later, Mac. Thank you very much, mate. Just a reminder, a new season of the Gab and Jules podcast is available to listen to now. You can check out the latest edition, which reflects on everything you need to know about the weekend's action right across the board. That drops on Monday. Great stuff, guys. Thank you very much. A lot more reaction from Dortmund on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to go over there and subscribe. The late game on Saturday saw Chelsea start their campaign with a 1-0 victory away against Everton. Jorginho's penalty just before the break proving to be enough to see Thomas Tuchel's side take all 3 points from Goodison. We may as well start with the penalty, Stevie. Penalty for you?
Yeah, no question. A nice turn from Chilwell, gets away from Decore. Decore pulls him back, not just once but twice. Pulls him in the arm, pulls him in the back. It doesn't get any easier for the referee. It's a clear penalty kick.
Yep, Jorginho then steps up, converts it, no problem whatsoever. Frank, should we try and be positive first, or should we just be honest and this game was terrible?
Well, we can say that the game was terrible because of the injury of Godfrey, and we feel sad, we have to say. And after another injury, and after somebody in the stands, felt bad. On top of it, the game was so slow, especially the second half, and we had almost nothing to enjoy. Our afternoon, late afternoon for me. But yeah, we have to be patient. I think we have to accept the fact that Chelsea is still looking for the rhythm that they need to, but we see what we saw last season, no change of pace at front, very slow, trying to play kind of a handball kind of game, turning around the defense, trying to find something, but no changing pace like we can see with City, like we can see to Liverpool. But it's the first day of the season, and hopefully Raheem Sterling will bring that because he's capable of. Some others, Mason Mount, we didn't see Mason Mount a lot today. But if we want to be positive, we have to go to the defense. I think that was clearly the good the good point for Tuchel.
Yeah, positive, but you have to say that you'd be worried because Silva looked as though he's picked a hamstring injury up towards the end of the game. That is a huge concern because he is, no question, the guy that's in charge at the back.
Yeah.
I would be worried though if I was Tuchel about what they're doing up front.
Sterling looked okay, didn't he? Like he had moments.
Yes, but the problem was it looked like it was Sterling and nobody else.
Right.
Everything that Sterling did, although some of it was good, it was on his own. And there was no connection with Havertz, there was no connection with Mount, there was no real connection with anybody in the Chelsea side, other than Koulibaly and Silva at the back. So it's a win. And at the end of the day, that's the important thing.
That's it.
If you can get your points whilst you're trying to put things together, because it really looks as though Tuchel's struggling to put the team together, because there's no cohesion.
Right.
There was absolutely no cohesion today whatsoever. So it's a win, but you would be worried.
Arsenal fans will be shouting, saying, "Oh, yesterday we beat Crystal Palace, Stevie," and you were saying, "Let's show the level that we're at," and you don't think they're going to finish in the Champions League because they laboured against Palace. Are you going to be saying the same thing about Chelsea?
Well, if they continue to perform like that, that was a surprise to me.
That they were that bad?
They were that bad. Yeah.
Why?
Well, because they were playing against a team that are awful.
Right.
You know, listen, Everton are right now definitely a team that are looking not to get relegated.
Right.
There is absolutely zero to be positive about Everton. So when you're starting off playing against a side who are clearly bad, and you win the game, there's enough a long way to go for Chelsea. But they did win the game, and on paper, they got a team.
Frank, what would frustrate me from a Chelsea point of view is right from the off in the second half, Chelsea are wasting time at throw-ins anytime they can. You kind of think, God, there's still another 45 minutes to go against one of the worst teams in the league. Can't you just go for it just a little bit more?
That's what it is. You get frustrated because you know that at a certain point Everton can get back. Even if they're bad, they can get back, and score a goal, and you're going to draw because you're not going to be able to react. You want them to kill the opponent, to finish the game and take it easy. Arsenal was able to do it, even if it was an own goal. They were able to do it. And we are disappointed, and Stevie has a point, is they played against a bad team, which I think if they carry on like that, it's going to be relegated. But when you see Crystal Palace, when you see Fulham, even when you see Southampton, you see there is something. There is something that they can do to create issues and problems to the opponent. But Everton, I saw nothing. Really, I saw nothing. It's why it's appalling for Chelsea. Say, okay, it's the first game of the season. Okay, then already they had a horrendous preseason and they won. So it's okay, you win 1-0, you go back home, and let's see next week against Spurs. But you're not ready yet. You're not ready, and we can see that you're not ready, and you're not going to win the Premier League if it's your goal. If you carry on playing like that, if you don't change anything at front, because it's especially at front, what you do. When I see Liverpool, I see movement, I see pace. I don't see that. We saw Sterling, and as Stevie said, but on his own. But the others, I don't see them. So maybe they should play only at 2 at front to create spaces, behind the defense. But to play at 3 at front doesn't bring anything to Chelsea, and it's been like that for 2 years, and maybe 3 years if they carry on like that.
Last point on this, Frank. Is the bunny hop dead from Jorginho? We saw no skip. It was very straightforward penalty. Do you think that will be his strategy now going forward? No little skip before he hits the ball?
I prefer that because he doesn't play with the goalkeeper. He decided to put it in a way. For me, he decided before, even if he can say that he changed his the last moment. But that was a perfect penalty on the floor, on the very close to the post. That's a fantastic penalty, and I want him to carry on like that because that's the way it should be taken. Johan Niskens was the specialist of the specialists, and he said, I close my eyes, I pick one side, and I shoot strong on the floor. And I think he never missed a penalty.
Meanwhile, a good result for Spurs against Southampton. They found themselves 1-0 down, Antonio Conte's side, after Ward-Prowse opened the scoring. But then, nice goals from Session, lovely finish from Dyer. Quite an extraordinary own goal as well from Salisu. And then Kulusevski made it 4-1. This was good from Spurs, wasn't it, Steve? This is impressive.
I think of all the games we watched, we saw from Spurs what we thought we would see. Or we saw what they're capable of.
Yeah.
All the other sides didn't show us what they're capable of. But this didn't come as a surprise. It certainly didn't come as a shock when Southampton scored, because Tottenham are capable of letting a goal up like that. But going forward, they showed us what we know is that they get at you at pace, there's good movement, there's finishes.
Yeah.
They're a threat in the ground, they're a threat in the air, they're a threat in behind. So really, we saw a team attacking-wise that we thought we would see, and they delivered.
Yeah, in contrast to what we saw from Chelsea a little bit, Frank, in that Tottenham had a bit of oomph to them, a bit of life.
That's what it is. That's what it is. When you put a change of pace, when you put everything you need, to trouble your opponent, you create danger. And if you're too slow, it's going to be boring to watch first, and you're not going to surprise your defense. It's what I did. Tottenham were ready to drop a little bit to counter-attack against Southampton, where they were playing at home. Well, now I would say that the first half was perfect from Tottenham. They were unlucky to be 1-0 down, but I think they had a fantastic first half. The second half, they scored well. There was an own goal scored when Southampton were really in control of the game, I was a little bit scared for Spurs to see them being catched up by the Saints. But overall, good performance, physically already ready, the spirit. But with Conte, you don't expect nothing less than that.
And what's interesting, that team that we just saw there, none of the new players were in it. It was kind of still relying on those from last season. That's a great position to be in, isn't it?
That whole thing we talk about, competition for places.
Yeah.
You saw it the other day.
Right.
Kulusevski. Have you ever seen Kulusevski had a rocket in his backside today? Because there was a guy called Richarlison who, when he's fit, is going to be pushing him in particular.
Right.
Because you can't see Son and Kane being split up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Competition for places is what you saw today.
Spurs looking good then. Meanwhile, Leeds in action against Wolves. It's a thoroughly entertaining game as well at Ellen Road. Wolves would take the lead early on. Podence opened the scoring after 6 minutes. Rodrigo getting the equaliser, and then it would be an own goal with 16 minutes to go that would give Leeds all 3 points. But really, it's not about the own goal. It's about Brendan Aronson's contribution, the US international, throughout this game, who was superb. Of course, assists for the first, and really was a bit unlucky not to be given the winner as well. What a perfect start for Leeds, for Jesse Marsch, and in particular, of course, Brendan Aronson.
I think the most impressive thing about Aronson was not that he was all over the park and he was closing the ball and he was winning it and he was giving it. We know that he can do all that stuff. I think the best part of his game was the fact that it was the way he delivered these passes.
Right.
And the decision making. Not just with the ball at his feet, but again, choosing when to go and close down and choosing when to stay off. You talk about almost a complete performance, because obviously scoring would have been the cherry on the top.
He did score.
Well.
It was a given the own goal.
He didn't score.
Eh?
Come on.
All right, okay. I'm just saying, he would have scored.
Listen, the fact is that he's now shown everybody that at the Premier League level, he's capable of showing himself to be the most important player on the field against the Wolves side, who are packed, by the way, with internationals with experience. So he's done it now. What he has to do now is follow it up and do it consistently.
And of course a big statement as well, because we know how much Jesse Marsch wanted him in the side, that he wanted to bring him over, and people look at it and go, just the American connection. Tyler Adams obviously coming across as well. But that sort of performance reinforces the fact, the manager's decision was the correct one, well, certainly for now.
Oh yes, definitely. I think that was a very clever decision, and he showed to the world that he was right. And And you have to find complicity between the players, and if they can go along very well, it's a real plus. And we saw that this afternoon. It worked very well, and everybody has to be pleased with that decision. But I think nobody can be surprised that Jesse Marsch is a very clever coach and a very fine tactical person. So he's going to do well. He's going to help the players to be better. And Harrison showed that today, that he's already spot on and full of confidence for the rest of the season.
Let's just remind you of the other results that we saw today. A bit of a surprise on the South Coast. Bournemouth beating Aston Villa by 2-0. And it was a rude awakening for Nottingham Forest as they returned to the Premier League as Newcastle beat them comfortably by 2-0. PSG started the defence of their domestic title with some style, thrashing Clermont by 5-0. Neymar scored, provided a hat-trick of assists. Lionel Messi got a brace as well. Frank, you've been one of the harshest critics of Neymar. You were wrong.
No, I was right. Last year I was right. Maybe I might be wrong this season if I say that he's bad, but I won't say because he's been absolutely fantastic for the preseason and he's been very good tonight. And so it's only fair to say that Neymar worked hard. Maybe I think he was a little bit scared of Christophe Galtier, so decided to work very well physically. And the technical player, if he works physically, is at his top. And it's what he showed today. You know what? Yeah, we tease them because they play against Clermont and it's not the Champions League. But they've been very serious. They've been tonight very serious. They worked hard. They did what they had to do, and with a real smile in their faces. That was fun to see them and nice to see them, Messi and Neymar, talking and smiling together and working hard. They did everything they had to do physically. They worked together. They were very compact. That's something we don't see very much. They play 11 and they don't play 7, 8 plus 3, but they really play together. So it's a very good start for Paris Saint-Germain. It shows their seriousness. It has to carry on. We always talk about consistency when we talk about football.
Edin Terzic's return to Borussia Dortmund started well. A 1-0 victory over Bayer Leverkusen would give the returning coach all 3 points in their opener. For more on that, he joined Archie and Arne.
Edin Terzic, welcome back to ESPN. As a winning Borussia Dortmund coach once again, how does it feel to do it in front of a full Signal Iduna Park here today? First game of the Bundesliga season.
It's a great feeling. It was very emotional, not only for myself or for the coaching staff, also for the players. The stands gave us the last couple of pieces that supported us to finish the goal and also to protect our goal. And it was a great start, a good result, but the performance, we have to improve that.
You know too well about those performances last season, how the fans were getting a bit sour with the team. It must be good to get over the line in a scrappier fashion today, given that actually there weren't too many of these, as they say so nicely in German, Arbeitssieger against big teams last season.
Yeah, in the end of the day, everybody's happy if we win games. Sometimes you have to win games like this. We struggled a bit. We had to take off Karim Adeyemi due to injury, and then it was not easy because the opponent was really good. It was a tough game for us, but in the end of the day, the team worked really hard, and this is what the audience wants to see. This is what our fans wants to see every day. And sometimes you can't finish games with all the magic, so sometimes you have to fight, and today we've been ready to fight. We could rely on our goalie. He had 2 great saves for us, and so this is what we need. And then if we get the crowd behind us, it's going to be a good season.
Edin, just as a former defender, to me it's always very important to talk about the defense, and to me it was very important for Borussia Dortmund side to have a clean sheet. How relieved were you to have a clean sheet, obviously, after this tight game?
Yeah, sometimes it's not easy to score many goals, and sometimes one goal needs to be enough to win games. And for the recent weeks, it was always the same question: how would you like to reduce the conceded goals? And today we showed it as a team. Of course, we've been a bit lucky in 2 offside situations, but I think we earned this kind of luck, and we deserved it because we gave everything to protect our goal.
Without pointing out one defender, but can you please say a word about Schlotterbeck? Because to me, he's such a great defender, and to me, one of the most valuable defenders to come.
Yeah, he's a great defender because he's winning many duels. He's good in the air, but he's also very good and clinical on the ball. So he played a couple of diagonal balls for us that have been very important in ball possession. Yeah, and then he got injured on his shoulder.
What happened there, actually?
Yeah, I think he fell down, and then he got off the pitch. And I just asked him, "Are you ready again?" And thumbs up, and off we go. And this is what the people want to see. And so it was a great debut for him in front of the home crowd, and yeah, we hope he can continue like this.
What aspects of the performance would you like to see improved next time? You mentioned that it could have been better. Where exactly?
So it was a very nervous start. So we lost a couple of balls in the first 2-3 minutes. So we've been on our heels instead of on our toes. And this is something that we have to improve. And then we lost a few sloppy balls in build-up play. And so we conceded counter-attacks that haven't been necessary. And this is something that we have to improve, to stay more clinical on the ball, to enter the box with many players like we did for the goal. And yeah, these are the things that we have to improve in the next couple of days for the next game.
And just to wrap up, what was the best moment, I guess, for younger Edin here today? Because I saw after the goal that you went and shook your fist towards the yellow wall. That feels different, I think, for somebody like yourself who is coming here when it wasn't so fashionable to come to the Signal Iduna Park in the 90s against Duisburg. I remember you talking about your first game. What was the moment that really hit home with you?
The most important today was the final whistle. Because this was the relief where we stopped fighting, and it was worth it. We are very tired, we run a lot, it was a very intense game, and the final whistle was the best moment today.
If you're on the winning side, it is. Edin, thank you very much for joining us.
Cheers, thank you.
Great stuff, guys. Thank you very much. A lot more reaction from Dortmund on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to go over there and subscribe. Now, Stephen, I know you'll be very excited about this. I'm writing a weekly column to give you my betting tips.
You are?
Oh, yes.
Well, I've already made a bet with you today, and I'm going to win.
Yeah, that bet you'll be able to see
so you made a
little later on. So let's see what predictions I have. For the United game. Everyone's going for a United win? 2-1, 2-1, 3-0? Yeah. What about West Ham against Manchester City? I'm going for a 2-2, Stevie. I think it's going to be a bit tight.
You do?
Yeah. Well, open but tight.
Well, if it's open, then there's only one winner. If it's tight, then you might get a draw.
Now, West Ham, I can see them. I think it could be similar to what we saw last season. Take the lead, cause some chaos, City panic, bit tired, 2-2?
No.
No. Okay, well, that's good. Meanwhile, Luis Suarez scored his first goal in his return to Nacional. This would be the third in a 3-0 victory. Brilliant celebration, Stevie.
Yeah, it must be nice to. It must be nice to go home.
Yes.
And score in front of your home fan.
Would you like to have done that at Ayr?
Yeah, that would have been nice, aye.
And instead you're here.
Instead of that, I'm stuck with you. With your betting nonsense.
Be sure to stay tuned as there's more betting nonsense. You'll be able to see what me and Stevie bet on looking ahead at the start of the new season on Extra Time, which is next. Hello and welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you as always for your tweets. Great to have like a full programme of football going on at the moment. Stevie here with us. Frank Leboeuf joins us as well. Frank, why have you got a lion with a black eye? What's that? What's the reference to that?
Well,
that's the English lion. That's the English lion. That's just for you, you know.
It looks a bit beaten up.
And it's rugby stuff. That is written, you know, you have to respect your enemies. You have to smash them and respect your enemies.
Right.
So, you know we are enemies, England.
So
and
is
France.
that complimentary
or
not?
I love it. He's a friend of mine who make. Oh yes, of course, always.
I don't know. I don't know why we've got a black eye. A friendly reminder to the guys that said Mitrovic would only score 12 goals this year. He's on pace for 76. What do you have to say for yourselves? Brilliant.
I'll take a bet now that he doesn't score 76.
Really?
Yeah.
75?
Or 74.
It's good today, though.
Aye. Not that, if you ever saw the perfect Mitrovic goal, it was the first one.
Right.
You know, coming in at the far post.
Yep.
And as we said in the show, you know, you expect him to win that header. You just expect the defender to put him off somewhat and not just cave in, basically.
It's an old school way about him, isn't there, Fran? You went up against those sort of strikers, kind of towering in, coming in at the back post.
Yeah, this the type of player I hated to play against because they never give up. They're very strong in the air. They're technically very good. They're not very fast, but they know how to play the man. And yeah, they go for it. And we saw that Alexander-Arnold couldn't cope with him in this specific action. But I've seen like all game long Van Dijk struggling with him, where I think Van Dijk is much taller than him. But every header, Mitrovic was on top of everybody, and especially Van Dijk. So he's a kind of player you can rely on. And, Chelsea was looking for a striker. They could have thought about him. It would have been a good idea.
Meanwhile, Stevie, you upset a lot of Arsenal fans yesterday.
I figured they probably would be, but I mean, the truth is, what we saw from Arsenal, we've seen before, right?
Right.
So why would we push them into the top four if they're doing the stuff that they've always done that's never got them in the top four for the last what? When was the last time they were in the top four?
It's provoked a lot of reaction, a lot of questions like this.
All right.
Given Stevie's overly simplistic logic towards Arsenal's opening day result yesterday, does today's 2-2 draw mean Liverpool are in a relegation battle or are Fulham in the title race?
Well, I will, Your Honour, I will refer to my previous answer. What we saw from Arsenal, as I said, we've seen before.
Right.
What we saw from Liverpool,
players, Jesus is in there.
What we saw from Liverpool is completely out of character.
Right.
So that's why I'm not going to turn around and say that Liverpool could get relegated, because it's completely out of character what we saw. Whereas Arsenal's performance was absolutely not out of character. So I don't think I was out of order by suggesting that they won't get in the top four if they continue to perform the way they did.
So you're sticking to your guns?
Absolutely.
No apology to Arsenal fans?
No.
What about you, Frank? Cucurella didn't look bad today. Do you owe him an apology?
Oh, well, already? Oh, my God. Well, offensively, he did pretty well. When he had the ball, he did well. But defensively, I didn't really see him, but he only played 50 minutes. So before apologizing to him, I will wait a little bit longer. Let's say maybe a season.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Before saying anything.
Okay. All right.
I think people get the wrong idea of when people like myself and Frank say the stuff we did about Cucurella. We're not suggesting that he's not a good player.
Right.
That's not what we're suggesting.
Yeah, just 60 million.
No. I can't talk for Frank, but what I'm suggesting is for 62 million, you expect a little bit more than what he gives.
Right. Okay.
He doesn't score goals, and when it comes to assists, I don't remember him assisting an awful lot.
He played it into Raheem Sterling today. He would have scored, wouldn't he, if it wasn't for that block?
But
I would say, on top of what Stevie said, I would say that Chelsea would have paid him 25 million. I would have said that's a good catch. Right. He's a good player, and it's a fair price.
That's not your money,
That's
Frank.
the only thing I say.
It's not your money.
Yeah, true. You're right.
That's it.
I don't care.
Spend what you want. Stevie, having seen both play, here we go then. Who are most likely to make the top four? Arsenal or Chelsea?
I'm still going to go with Chelsea.
Right. But they laboured against a side that is going to be fighting relegation. Arsenal
every team's going to have a game where they're going to labour. That doesn't
Chelsea
mean...
labour a lot.
That doesn't mean...
Chelsea spent a lot of time labouring.
Oh, you just want to turn around and say Chelsea's not going to make it?
No, I'm just putting up an argument for Arsenal fans who feel that you're being harsh towards them.
No, this Chelsea side that laboured so badly, which they did,
Right.
has also been very good. And defensively, Chelsea
I don't know.
are more
When were
reliable.
Chelsea last that good?
Well, hold on, they were third in the Premier League last year, right?
Yeah.
Comfortably.
A mile
Hold
off City.
Yeah, but they were.
And who did they finish ahead
Hold on
of?
a minute. Were they,
Spurs, who got rid of
hold
their
on.
manager
Were
halfway
they,
through.
Did they get in the top four?
Arsenal didn't have a striker. United were a mess. I'm just saying.
Well, that's fine.
The game has
Did
changed.
they comfortably get in the top
The game
four?
has changed slightly, isn't it?
Did they comfortably get in the
Well,
top?
they didn't. At some stage, we were discussing whether or not they
Say,
made
well,
the
you'd be
top
not
four.
used to the courtroom, would you?
Why
The
not?
yes or no answer. Did they
I don't
comfortably reach get in the top four?
Against mediocre teams who've all improved now.
According to you.
So have Spurs, have Spurs improved?
Against mediocre teams that have all improved.
Have Spurs improved?
Or one team. One team has improved.
Have Arsenal improved?
No.
Arsenal
I've
have
just
improved?
Have they improved?
Yes. I think
Oh, that was
so.
great against Palace, were they?
Well, they won 2-0.
No, they did. They played exactly they played exactly the same way they played last year. So how does that improve?
Well, 'cause they got
So
some-
that's
they got
a
someone
no.
who
Anybody
can score
else?
goals now.
Anybody else?
No, they're the two main ones.
Anybody else? What do you mean the two main?
My
So
two main
so one you
references.
got right. I'll give you one, Tottenham.
Okay.
I'm not giving you Arsenal. So
I can't believe you
anybody
gave me
else?
Arsenal.
Anybody else?
No, that's the main ones. They're the big ones.
So you don't have anything else then?
They're the big
That's
ones.
it.
That's the big
Tottenham.
ones. Hey, that's all that matters, though.
Tottenham, you've really crushed
Hey,
me.
if Arsenal and Spurs get
Yeah.
better and Chelsea don't improve,
That's a great
Chelsea
comeback.
will finish fifth,
You've
aren't they?
totally crushed me with that comeback.
No, I don't think
I'll never sleep tonight. I'm
comfortable.
crushed.
I'm comfortable defending
right.
Arsenal in this situation.
You're right.
Because you're so against them for no reason.
Listen to him.
Frank.
Hold on a minute. So you think Arsenal's going to be in the top four?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Can I have a bet with you?
How much would you like to bet?
What would you want?
I don't know. Should we do a dinner?
No. No. No.
Oh my God, Stevie,
No,
go
let's just
for
do
it.
money. No, I need money. I want money.
I want money.
I want money. $50.
$50.
50 bucks,
50
right?
bucks.
You've got to pay up.
Arsenal finish in the top four.
$50 they don't, right? You've got to pay up.
Okay, all right.
Right.
Let's do it.
Okay?
Okay.
Right.
Good. Stevie hates parting with money so much.
Yeah, exactly.
This could be fun. Frank, is Neymar back? He's the most lively player in this PSG team.
Right now, today, yes, he is. He's absolutely fantastic, and we have to be fair. He had a very good preseason, and today against Clermont, he showed all his talent. Now, yeah, you know, we can tease, as I said during the show, you know, the fact that they played against Clermont, but you have to be professional, and we can see that physically he's at the top. He worked hard during the preseason, so his technique and what he does works very well right now. Now, it's the first day in the Ligue 1. We all know that we want to see him against bigger team. We all know that we want to see him in February and not now, because he signed like 5 years ago and always been injured around February. So I don't care what he does now, really. I want to see him in February, and I will judge him after many days, not after one day.
The World Cup as well, between all of that. Stevie, now that Bayern scored 11 goals in 2 matches, do you still think Bayern will have problems without Lewandowski, or is it the league which is too weak now? Ignoring the fact that this Frankfurt team won the Europa League, beating Betis, Barca, West Ham and Glasgow.
Exactly.
I have to say, I was shocked at the weekend at how good Bayern were.
It was just yesterday.
So yesterday wasn't the weekend?
No, it's Friday.
Oh, you're right. It was Friday. I was thinking this was Sunday for some reason. Oh, you're right. I
bet you $50.
Oh, the
I
guy
bet
is
he's
tacky.
He's
really tacky.
Today's not. I was actually and they made it look so easy. They absolutely cut Eintracht Frankfurt apart.
Yeah.
So the question is, were Bayern that good, the way they played, the fact that they had no real focal player through the middle, or were Eintracht Frankfurt that bad?
Only time will tell.
Well, I think a couple more games we will really be able to tell whether
Yes.
Bayern are going to be the Bayern that
Dan
beat
and
Frankfurt
Steve.
or the side that may struggle without Lewandowski.
Time will tell. Frank?
I think Eintracht Frankfurt has to play against Real Madrid very soon.
On Wednesday, they're playing it in the UEFA Super Cup.
So I think if Eintracht Frankfurt loses like 6-0 against Real Madrid, we would say that Eintracht Frankfurt was very weak. If they lose in a normal way, I would say that Bayern Munich is absolutely fantastic. I think, and that might be the right term to name Bayern. I think Bayern could be the contender for the Champions League, because every time I see them playing since the preseason and the first day yesterday, that's simply amazing.
Frank, having experienced it yourself, are you nervous about France becoming the latest country to fall victim to the World Cup curse, where defending World Cup champions get knocked out in the group stage?
Well, it happened to us in 2002. We were kicked out by, especially we lost the first game against Senegal. So it can happen, and that's what it is. That's what it is. And in 4 years, many things can change. From my experience and through the experience that I've been into, we're at the end of a cycle. We won everything in 3 years, and everything's collapsed after that. But I really think that the team that we have is still among the best in the world, and I don't see them getting kicked out on the group stages, especially with the team they're going to play against. So really, I think France still can win a World Cup, and I'm more going into that way than going into the curse way. I don't believe that for that World Cup and for that French team.
So Stevie, final question. I'm taking my husband to Anfield next week for his 50th birthday for the home opener. It's a nice present, isn't it?
Aye.
Any recommendations pre or post game? Where's the best shepherd's pie?
Well, the best shepherd's pie is at my house.
Yes, exactly. Eleanor, you got to go to Eleanor for that.
So that one's out.
Gosh, I bet most of the places you went to go don't exist anymore. Or were probably shut down.
Yeah, I think the place called the Arkles, which is right next to the ground.
Okay.
It's about 50 yards.
Right.
So go to the Arkles. I'm pretty certain it's still there.
And say Stevie sent you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell them I sent them. And I'm pretty sure you'll experience what it was like 30 and 40 years ago, because as far as I know, it hasn't changed.
Brilliant.
One iota, and it's the same people that still go.
Right, perfect.
So, yeah, you'll get a taste of the
go to
old
the
school.
Arkles.
The Arkles.
Yep, perfect.
And tell them I sent you.
Yep, perfect. There we go. Brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. We will be back tomorrow for more. What's happening tomorrow? Oh, United are playing. City are playing.
It's still the weekend.
It is still the weekend tomorrow. Yes, I believe so. Be sure to join us then.